I'm back, bitches. Oh no. Okay, I'm so excited for this video. Been thinking about it literally all day. I just got back home, so I got home like an hour ago and then I left, or 2 hours ago. Then I left again to go see my mom. She's supposed to get discharged in like 3 days, the 13th. So, but today's video, we have 2. Originally, it was just going to be 1, but then my ADHD ass got distracted, saw there was another video from the same episode that I thought was interesting too. So my brain was just going like, bah, 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 bah. But we'll start. The more and more I watched YouTube debates, and yeah, I find that people start attacking moral character and whatever, which is great. Love it. I'm for it. Okay. But sometimes I wonder if, and I'm not speaking on anybody specific, just in general, like if people are aware of why they think something, or if they're aware of their inconsistencies, you'll understand what I mean in a second. What up, Tyrone? So we've mentioned the trolley problem probably a lot. I don't think we've ever done a video on it, but we talk about it all the time. Jesus. I need a beer. It's fine. I'm fine. Oh God. Both of these videos are short, so it should be fine. I'm just gonna run through it. Where's my definition of the trolley problem that I got from ChatGPT? I was like, oh fuck. I have Bing right now. This is not good. Okay. Well, actually, we can watch the video first and then we can talk about it. We'll be referencing it a lot. So
if you were responsible for causing those things in a
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, high sexual discipline. I wouldn't date a guy who watches porn or goes to strip clubs or anything like that. And ideally...
Wait, you wouldn't date a guy who watches porn?
Nope.
But you
Yep.
do OF?
Yep.
Is that a...
Seems like maybe a double standard.
Is it a double?
No, it's not. I could be a college professor but not date students. I could work at a soup kitchen and not date a homeless guy. Just because I monetize off a demographic doesn't mean I have to date them.
Well,
no, it's 100% a double standard and a contradiction, with all due respect. And that analogy was not good. Not good at all. Why was it not good? Because it just did not, it's totally different. Like, it's totally different. The thing about corn, OF, sex work, all of that good shit, or bad shit, that leads me into the next part. But that's moral dilemma, period. Because it's like not everybody approves of it. It's pretty obvious too. I guess it's not like a long-standing one. But something that I find interesting is people will often think if something's not illegal, then it's fine. Or say immoral, but whatever. I find if I use immoral and moral, then it gets really confusing. But that just might be for me, honestly. But not all laws are moral. So, well, Tori, how the fuck is that possible? Well, at one point, like, discrimination was just, right? At some point, it was fine. So it goes based off of like cultural shifts, and you could say religious. Like, there's been obviously like discrimination is an instance where it was like, or slavery was okay in the Bible, and then later it's like, not really though. Not really. At least I don't use religion when I think about it. But so sometimes people will be like, well, it's obvious I'm not doing anything illegal. We actually were talking about the other day how there's customers that go to OF girls asking for them to role play as, and some guy supposedly got arrested for it. Did you guys ever find the link to that? Because I didn't know that. So far, from what my understanding is, it's been like a very gray area, and it brings up a lot of moral dilemmas and ethical ones. Well, what the hell? Why is this one not an ethical one? Don't fuck me up too much, okay? Don't fuck me up. I can't tell if that's a mosquito or not. I think it is. I got a mosquito bite yesterday and literally my whole neck swelled up. Good times. Anyways, so when we talk about preferences in dating, I feel like it's a cop-out for a lot of people. Like, oh, it's fine. I only date white guys. It's like that borderlines on a moral dilemma, in my opinion. Maybe not so much back in the day, but not with us. But porn specifically, like not wanting to date somebody because they watch porn on the surface seems pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Okay, but she's an OF girl, so she makes the content. It's like usually when there's contradictions, they're pretty obvious. They're like second nature, in my opinion. If you just had to like try to figure it out really quickly. If something doesn't seem right, it's probably not. But in order to find out if it's not right, if you will, you have to find out why she doesn't want to date somebody that does porn. Or I'm sorry, that watches porn. Oh, don't fuck it up, bitch. Okay, it's already confusing. Okay, let's keep going. A preference that isn't an issue is saying, I like somebody who likes chocolate ice cream over vanilla. Okay, she's going to evade, but that's like essential.
Let's get into this
Let's
a
get
little,
into
shall
it.
we? So let's start with, why do you prefer that they not watch porn?
Because it affects pair bonding, it desensitizes you to your partner, it can lead to erectile dysfunction, all those things.
Okay, talking fast. It desensitizes you to your partner. If I had to steel man that right now, I'm assuming she means the man, obviously, because she's talking about the things she doesn't like, but it desensitizes them to the partner. Okay, so that's her. Why do you care? You're not the one. Whatever. Okay. Pair bonding. More on that later. And then what was the last one? It desensitizes you. Oh, does it evade trust or something? Let's go back. I can't look at the video or else I will get really distracted. That's why I keep going like this.
Why do you prefer that they not watch porn?
Because it affects pair bonding, it desensitizes you to your partner, it can lead to erectile dysfunction, all those.
Okay, and it leads to erectile dysfunction. Pay attention to those reasons. Okay, are those her problems? Well, kind of. I guess you could argue like the erectile dysfunction. It's like, okay, I guess. That desensitizes you to the partner. Last time I checked, Queen, you got like an innie. Okay. Like, unless every time he jacks off, it's getting thinner. I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. And normally I wouldn't pay attention to that, but there's a reason for it. So we'll keep going. I won't say it yet.
Those things.
If you were responsible for causing those things in a man, would you be doing an immoral action?
Potentially.
And are you
No,
participating in doing those immoral actions to men?
No, just because I think maybe you're less of a good romantic partner, that doesn't mean you're less of a moral person.
Just because you're less of a romantic partner. Okay, she started off weak and she's just getting like, it's just worse. Like, okay, if you're ever going to do a debate, it's important to know why you believe what you believe. If you're going to be a secularist, relativist, like the Looney Tunes, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I have to. Okay, if you think anything is like a case-by-case basis, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that you're gonna veer on a certain side. Not even, okay, yeah, politically, but not even like that. just how I visualize philosophy in my head. Okay.
No. That's
so just
not my
because
question.
I don't think you would be a good husband for me doesn't mean I'm deeming you degenerate or a bad
back
person.
Up. You just said that all of those are bad qualities that you said that
not objectively
if
bad.
You were,
for me personally, what I'm looking for is
Okay, finish. You said that a person who was causing those problems in men would be doing something immoral.
No, I didn't say that.
So is it if a person's contributing to causing that in men, are they doing something immoral?
So if I'm a lesbian,
so we all know Andrew's position coming from virtue ethics, which is a good one, a very good one. So if you're going to act in a virtuous way, what are some of those things that includes? Tori, I don't know. I haven't read a book in years. Okay, well, what would make you a man? Written down. Okay, don't listen to what I think what a man is. I actually have a really good poem that I came across. We can actually talk on it because it kind of actually fits this topic. But somebody who's virtuous is somebody that acts in, I don't know, like honest, authentic. Hold on, let me get the list of virtues. I don't want to fuck it up. Throw the whole bitch away. Okay. Are we sure? Okay, courage. Modesty. I'm just kidding. Modesty with the heart. Purity of heart and action. Okay. Forgiveness. Respect. Like the easiest way to think about it, in my opinion, is when you actually when you're trying to figure out, would you ever lie to save a life? I give like the kidnapper example, for instance, is like somebody who's more on like the deontological, I always have a hard time saying that, is going to be like, nope, we ain't lying ever. Okay. But you have somebody that's virtuous or follows virtue ethics, and pretty much your instant almost on anything. This is why I say it's a very good framework to follow. It's like whatever seems like the right thing to do usually falls under this. Okay. So it's like, I don't lie, but to save a life, I'm a lie. But it's a very contextual thing. Okay. Here's another thing. That's bullshit talk. Uh-oh. Hello. Somebody who doesn't like
I
that.
only want to date women.
Don't ask me a question. Don't
I'm
ask me a
out,
question.
no,
Answer
listen.
my question.
No, I'm explaining to you.
Just answer the question.
Listen.
Don't ask me
Is this
a question.
inconsistent?
If you follow up somebody's question in a debate with another question, that just tells me that you're evading. And it's funny because she calls Andrew the person that evades, but it's cool. Okay. And you might be like, hey, I just want clarification. I'm telling you right now, most people are not operating from what I've seen on YouTube. Most people are not operating from that. Like they want more details to make an informed decision. It's usually to debate off the next thing. So if she says something and if she follows up with a question to Andrew answers it, what goes wrong? Because then she will continue to go down the line of questioning, and you never got to the actual fucking point. So that's why you're not supposed to do it. That's why people answer it. Okay. It seems like they're being assholes. Another person is more good faith, if you will. But the only time I've thought about this, honestly, I'm like, the only time I would allow extra details to be given is if they talked really fucking fast. I wouldn't be allowed to get extra details because I talk slower than a fucking snail. Okay. But if you talk really fast and I know you get to your point in 2 breaths, I'm like, fine. But very rarely.
I'm going to ask you a question. If I'm a lesbian
Answer
and I only
my
want to date
question.
women,
Yeah, as soon as
but
you
I make
answer my question,
OnlyFans
I'll answer your
content for
question.
men, is
Answer
that
my question.
inconsistent?
Answer my
I
question.
think she's trying to.
No, she's asking
No,
me
she's
a question.
not.
Evading my point because it
Asking a
debunks
question
this
is
whole
not
thing.
answering my question. Then I'll answer your
question has no bearing on this discussion.
Then answer it.
What was your question?
Okay, one more time, since you tried
See?
everything to avoid it. If you contribute to those same problems that are against your preference in a mate, okay, those same issues, are you doing something immoral?
Nope.
No.
Same
So-
way, like I just said, if I'm a lesbian who puts out pornographic content for men to consume, it's not inconsistent or wrong for me to only date women. I can have a preference for someone while monetizing off an entirely different demographic. That doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong.
So
Am I doing something
the
wrong
question-
for indulging
yeah,
straight men
yeah,
if
I
I only
think
want to
you-
date?
You're doing something wrong if you make porn and then all the reasonings for why you don't want a partner to watch porn have everything to do with his autonomy. So while you're like, Tori, whoa, where the fuck are we going? Okay, you come here for a good time, not a long time. I like to think of the thing that's like way out there. Not that it's not related, but it's easier to follow why what this person's saying isn't, nothing that comes from their mouth is consistent. It just won't be. Because if you don't want them, if like you're so worried about, and I'm summarizing this for like an ADD person, so unless you like fucking details, I'm not your bitch. Like the video. Okay. If somebody, like if you don't know anything about philosophy or whatever, I wouldn't bother. It's boring. Just kidding. And somebody says, in this day and age where we're living in modernity, if you will, I can separate my job. I make pornographic content, but I don't want a partner that watches it. It's like that kind of feels like it could be right. Right? Why don't you want them to do it? Pair bonding? Really? The only reason why you're saying pair bonding is because you know that that's like a red pill bullshit talking point. It's not a real red pill point. Which is, it's a selfish thing. Why is it selfish though? Why is pair bonding selfish? Well, one, it exists in birds. Two, it's delusional too, obviously. Okay. But a pair bonding, why do you care so much about your partner's attachment to you? Because if you care about pair bonding, the attachment in regards to pair bonding is because you're afraid for them to leave you. It's never like I'm trying to have a really healthy, more bonded relationship. And if that's the case, if let's say you do, I'm going to get so derailed and shit. Let's say that you do. Well, you'll have to justify that too. Because those reasons are not good. Okay. But let's get back to
Women?
I think you are. I think
that makes no
that you're
sense.
creating a contribution towards the immorality, and you know it's immoral because
But I don't think it's immoral to be
because your
heterosexual
preference
and I'd be
alone-
indulging
your
heterosexuality while
preference-
personally being
Your
homosexual.
preference alone is against it. Why is your preference against it?
I don't
Isn't there an
understand why
implication
Why would
there?
sexual
Why
orientation
does that
be
matter?
against it? No, answer my question. Why is
Why
it
what?
if I would
Okay, well, if she goes down this route, it's like that was a horrible analogy, first of all, saying, well, if I'm a lesbian, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, so there's different standards for when women. What would you allow a lesbian to have her bi? Okay. Is she bisexual or am I just making that up? I might be making that up. Hold on.
a lesbian and I want to date women, but
Mm-hmm.
I put out pornographic content that indulges heterosexual men. Is that inconsistent or am I contributing
Well,
to a
all of
problem?
that, literally all of that would be immoral. I would say that that's still an immoral thing, whether or not
It is,
you're
but not
being
for the reason that you
whether or not
discerned
you're
it to
being
be.
inconsistent there. I didn't make an inconsistency argument. I asked you about whether or not it's moral.
You said if I don't want to date a certain pool that I'm contributing to, does
No.
that mean I'm creating a problem?
Yeah, no, I'm just asking, is it immoral for you to contribute to that at all?
No.
It's not.
It's not immoral for me to contribute to traits which I personally would not date.
No, that's not my question. My question is
question makes
is
no
it
sense.
immoral for you to be contributing towards those traits like the negative side effects in men? Is that immoral to do?
No, because not everyone has the same goals as I do. Not everyone's waiting to have sex until they're married. Some people view sex and relationships completely disparately than I do.
So, but why wouldn't you? Those are all negative side effects. You'd agree with that, right?
It depends.
On?
Some people, I know a lot of women who don't want to get married. I know a lot of men who don't want to get married either.
The side effects of like ED, things like this.
Well, that side effect doesn't happen to everybody either.
I'm not saying it does.
I think it depends. If certain men want to live a hedonistic lifestyle, I'm not going to deem them immoral for. I think people have totally different
That's not my
purposes and goals.
question again.
It was, and I
Nope.
answered it.
My question specifically was, if you contribute towards that, why would that's harmful, isn't it? And isn't that the standard
It's
you
not
use for
harmful if
morality?
I totally realized that she did not say she was a moral absolutist yet. Okay, so just disregard everything that came before that. Poisoning the well. My bad. My bad. Okay. Okay.
It's congruent to their goals. If their goal is to be a hedonist, then that's fine.
But
Go
their
for it.
goal's
That's
not
my
to.
goal.
Okay, but here's
If
the
their
problem.
goal is to jack off to
Nope,
as many
you
girls
got
as
a
possible
problem
before
here.
they die, they can go
Because
for it.
if it's hedonism, right, you still have a harm principle. So even if a person is doing a thing and they say, I'm going to do this thing because I don't care about the harm, you are still supposed to care about the harm that you cause, right?
No,
No, you're not?
because they have a totally different moral rubric than I do. If their goal is to fuck as many girls as possible because they think that makes them more alpha or male,
Who
I wouldn't
cares
support
what their
it.
moral rubric is? You're the consequentialist.
What?
So you are supposed to care about the harm you do.
I'm not a consequentialist. We've been over this so many times.
Oh, what are you again?
I said I was a moral absolutist.
You're a moral absolutist.
Yeah.
If anybody is going to be a moral absolutist, just to keep it really simple, because I know a lot of my following watches Andrew, if you're a moral absolutist, you would more so align with Andrew, not a porn star. Okay.
Probably
Is
more
it-
that than a utilitarian.
Is that
Why are you shaking your head?
You're not a subjectivist.
You're not. No,
you're not a moral absolutist.
absolutist.
Ridiculous.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what is that?
It
Exactly
means
what
like
it
you're not
sounds like.
necessarily looking at the consequence of an action to deem its morality.
Okay, don't listen to her. Okay. A moral absolutist means universally everybody should be following the same thing. That's the easiest way I think of it. I don't know. I see it in my head. Does that help? I find that when other people put all this shit to it, it's like, well, whoa, wait. So then what's a factual relativist? Would that be the opposite? And then what if you crisscross those?
My point is, people have totally different goals.
Okay. So is porn always wrong?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Is it always right?
If you are a fucking moral absolutist, haram.
Well, we're not moral absolutists. If it was moral,
That's-
if it was a
that has
moral
nothing to do with-
absolute, it would either be always right or always wrong.
That's
Because it's
not true.
absolute.
It varies.
Okay. Give me an example of a moral absolute.
Okay, they're yelling at each other, but I heard her say it varies. Relativist bitch, love you.
That's not yes or no, right or wrong.
I would love to. With porn, for example, porn will disaffect your relationship if one partner is okay with it and one is not. That will affect cheating and compatibility. If both partners are proponents of pornography consumption, that it'll actually increase your sexual intimacy with each other.
What does that have to do with anything I just said?
My point is you're looking for like a black or white answer. Is porn
Because
good or
you're an
bad? And it depends on the
absolutist.
parties
What do you
consuming
think
it.
absolute means? You don't know what absolute means?
I know what absolute means.
Well,
but
what
I
is
think
a
you're
moral
intentionally-
absolute?
So just because she talks really quickly, she was saying that that studies show, which I don't think she gave the source. I have seen this study before. I just don't know if it's been within the last 10 years, but it's that if both partners watch porn together, it has a positive effect on both of their satisfaction. Something that if it's from the same thing I was reading, it was like if women watch porn, it was directly correlated with their satisfaction. However, if just a man did, or I'm sorry, performance, that's important. Okay. So if women watched porn and their partner watched porn, then their satisfaction was high. I think it was like 80. I'm pulling that out of my ass. It was above 50, I know for sure. But it was like a positive thing. And that's weird because women always say it objectifies us, unrealistic expectations. I was shocked when I saw that because then I was like, huh. But if it was one-sided and it specifically said the male, like it did not increase his performance or the satisfaction between both partners. So if girls watched it, I forgot to say performance. It increased her performance that contributes to like her orgasm and stuff. And it's also a better thing for them to watch it. But if it's just the guy, I was like, damn, that sounds really fucked up. So his performance goes down. It was in the most technical language too. I'm botching it, but yeah, I actually did a video talking about that piece now that I come to think of it.
I think you're
Absolutist.
intentionally being obtuse.
No, I think you're intentionally evading. What do you think absolute means?
No, answer my question.
What do you think absolute
She's
means?
really being
Definite, finite.
Finite and definite at the same time?
At the same time.
That's what you think absolute means?
Absolute means definite.
What do you think a moral absolutist is?
It means you have certain moral principles that you think take precedence over the consequences of those actions, and you want to be a proponent for those moral principles even if there is an increase in harm over help.
Okay, so it's not about consequences.
What?
It's not about consequences for you at all.
It's not about consequences. It's about looking at the fact that people have different aims. If a certain man
If porn is bad,
wants to prioritize his sexual pornography consumption over getting married because he personally doesn't think getting married is a net good for him, who am I to say that's wrong and I'm contributing to a problem?
But then, let me ask a single question, right? You would agree with me that the age of consent's arbitrary, right?
Would I agree with you that the age of is this TOS, Brian?
No. Okay, the AOC is arbitrary, right?
Is it arbitrary?
Yeah.
Not really.
Then give me the moral imperative for it real quick. The moral absolute statement for that.
The moral imperative would be that it's generally wrong to
It's generally wrong.
It's
not based on the
wrong.
consequence, though.
What?
It's not based on the consequence. This is an absolute. So why should the AOC absolutely be XA?
just like a tip, don't ever in a debate tell somebody that you're an absolutist, just in general. Okay? Don't let anybody know that shit. Don't do that. Because anytime you get caught saying anything that's like always everything, it's so easy to find a inconsistency.
It's not. It varies.
Why
by
should it
state.
be? You're a moral absolutist.
I don't even know if I would subscribe to that.
You wouldn't subscribe to your own worldview?
You have to.
I don't even know if I would subscribe that there is a certain age of consent because it varies by state.
So
Is there a
you're
different
not an
example?
absolutist then?
You're evading from my whole
You're
point.
not an absolutist.
It varies state to state. What's the opposite of an absolutist? A relativist. Just in general, relativist. It's like case by case, which a lot of times I find people get so worried to say that they're a relativist. I mean, other than it's stupid. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's like, you can be a relativist. It almost seems like, I don't know if it was so much she didn't know that as it was she didn't want him to find holes in her logic. Well, Torrie, I thought that was the absolutist part. It's like, it's both. It's both. If you say always, never, anything for that, it's so easy to find. Like, that just tells me in my brain where to go to ask a question next. It's like, okay, well, how do you feel about lying? Whatever. But then when you say you're a relativist, it's like you're probably a consequentialist is almost, it seems to be like everybody on YouTube that I've watched that isn't following virtue ethics. Not always. I'm just summarizing it. But like, if you're going to say that you're anything, which I don't recommend it, but let's say that you are a relativist, own it. You could say it in a way that's, and you can question somebody else really easily. I don't know why people, that's just a trend that I've noticed, and it could just be my algorithm.
You said that it's hypocritical and it's inconsistent and it's kind of immoral. I'm contributing to a moral problem to put out porn content.
His question was whether or not there was
you're
a
the one who
contingency between a
interrupted
double
me.
standard. I asked you about the morality of a thing.
Yes, and you said I'm
And
creating
you
a
say I'm a
problem by
moral
contributing to
absolutist.
traits that I personally would not date.
Yeah,
and that's completely analogous.
I'm inside of your worldview, and
No,
now
but
I'm
why
trying to
won't you
figure out
address the
if
analogy
you're,
I created
because,
between that and me being
because
a
if the
lesbian and wanting to date
foundation-
women,
I'll explain it.
but not wanting to date
Guys,
straight
one at a
men?
time.
Literally, because your preferences involve a fucking moral dilemma. That's why. It'd be one thing. I like brown hair over blonde. It's like, it just, arouses me. It's like nobody would say shit.
One at a
Yeah,
time,
I can
please.
explain it. Because if the foundation of your worldview on its own is incorrect, then I don't care about the rest of what you even just had to say. If the foundation of what you're saying makes no sense at all,
It makes
then
perfect sense.
any claims that you make past that are not even relevant. So explain to me how you're moral. Tell me what a moral absolute.
Literally, Andrew breaks it down so fucking well, so well. But like, because the other person is already displaying cognitive dissonance and they're like name calling and shit, like, oh, you're just trying to do blah, blah, blah. It's like, I wonder if maybe she just doesn't know. You know? I don't know. But like Andrew, I've said it 1,000 times. I don't care if you guys have the most opposing views and have had Twitter beef. I have not seen this man ever take somebody down a line of questioning that was like bad faith, if you will. It's always like step by step, the most good. It's the most valuable way you could do it. Because if you watch it back and you're learning, you will know exactly why. Maybe not in the moment. I get it. I have social anxiety. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, it's an attack. I'm just saying, like, I know like his tone seems like it almost comes off, which I'm not being a tone police. I'm not. I'm just saying I try to figure out why people are so not receptive to Andrew. I don't know why. I think it's got to be the tone, because it's almost like a haha gotcha. But he really is trying to show you how you get there to make your worldview more consistent. And I think that's valuable. Most people will just attack you back.
Just even is.
I don't even know what this has to do with anything. Your rebuttal
You're
to me
just running.
was that
Stop
because
running.
I don't want to date certain traits that I may contribute to, that I'm being hypocritical and I'm creating some moral problem. And then I give you a perfect analogy. If I was a homosexual
No, it was
woman and
a
I
mad
dated women,
one.
but I contribute to indulging
Horrible.
heterosexual male pornography consumption, is that wrong? And you have yet to address that
I
point.
don't need to.
Why can't you? Why can't you?
I'm going to explain it to you. If the underlying foundation for which that current worldview you just
You're saying
explained,
if I can't
stop
flesh
talking,
out a
Farha. It's my
perfect
turn, Farha. It's my turn,
ethical
Farha. It's my
rubric,
turn,
then it means
Farha.
that I'm being
My
hypocritical.
turn,
Let
Farha.
him
Calm
talk.
down.
Let him
Stop
talk, and you go
spurging.
ahead.
Stop spurging and listen.
Let's not use that word. Let's not use that. It's probably
Okay.
probably TOS.
That's where he draws the line, Brian.
Spurging's not against TOS.
It's not?
No. So,
Okay.
You can tone police
so
me, I don't
listen.
care.
If you have a foundation for an ethical
avoid-
system,
we should
and then you tell me a thing that you ought or ought not do, and I find out that your ethical system itself is inconsistent, you don't even know what it is, why would I ever listen to a word you had to say about ought, Farha?
Because this is your chronic evasion of every point. Is when I give you a perfect analogy and see, this will make you concede on your rebuttal, then you're like, oh, now explain to me from A, B to C your exact moral worldview.
Yeah. Why is that a problem?
Because then we're going to
question
go all the way
integrity of your
backwards, and you're like, let's
foundation.
talk about where rights come from. Let's talk about where duties come from. Let's talk about
Yeah, let's
obligations.
talk about the foundation of the things you believe. Isn't that crazy?
How was the universe started? Let's talk about that,
The
right?
fou-
That's your like go-to all
Are
the
you
time.
going to answer to what a moral absolutist
Are you going to
is?
answer my initial question, which is why was that a false
I'll
analogy
just
between
concede
me
the
being a
whole
lesbian content
argument.
creator?
I'll just
He's pretty much trying to explain, well, side note, you know how you want to like have your cake and eat it too? And it sort of applies to like, it applies to everybody. You could say it about men, you could say it about women, but in terms of feminism, let's say, how many times who was it? I think it was Bill Murray. Was it Bill Murray? Fuck, I'm so sorry. It was like feminists are like at a buffet. They pick and choose what they want. I want some of that. I don't want some of that. Okay. And so half the I would say a big reason that men dislike this, at least in the online space, is because you want the things that benefit you without responsibility. I'm just kidding. Is it a responsibility or authority? It's like, take selective service. It's like women vote for policies that maybe they're not totally aware could lead to, I don't know, like issues in foreign policy, for instance. It's like they allocate everything to social programs and we don't have it there. Do I look like I do politics? Okay. So what's the issue with that? Because the men are going to be the drafted to war. So their life depends on arguably who's in office. Okay. So when somebody's trying to be like, hey, double standard, it's like usually like picking and choosing shit, but without any foundation, without any responsibility. There's nothing on the line. You just swift and switch, bait and switch. No, I'm just kidding. But like, which, like I said earlier, it's not necessarily bad if you're a relativist or whatever. You just have to be really clear on it. Really fucking clear. Which right now, I don't even think, just based on my experience with everybody or with people having cognitive dissonance or conflicting beliefs, it seems like she's focused on attacking like the last thing said and not looking at the bigger picture.
See the whole argument there for the purpose of you
Don't
asking.
concede. Actually, give me an answer.
You answering this question. I just conceded for the purpose of the argument. What's a moral absolutist?
Argument.
What's a moral absolutist?
No.
I just conceded for the purpose of the argument.
Stop saying for the purpose of the argument.
Why not?
Genuinely.
I can't.
Literally, Andrew's giving you like, let's assume that in order to watch a movie in a theater, like the guy at the top that presses play has to wait for everybody to sit down before the lights come off and they can start the movie. Pretty much, Farha is in this movie theater with her friends standing up, and we are past the time for the movie to start. And Andrew's like, hello, you have to sit down. I don't want to. Like, that's what's going on. They haven't even gotten to like the actual meat of it.
I'm sorry. I can't test your consistency by conceding the argument just for the purpose of testing the worldview. That's not okay with Farha.
And you created a rebuttal, and then I gave a perfect rebuttal. And
yeah,
now
and I'll
to
just
evade,
concede it for the sake of argument.
Where do your rights come
Yeah,
from? Where do your ethics come from?
I'll just concede it for the
What's a
sake of
moral
argument.
absolutist? Just find every word in the dictionary for me.
Concede it.
Enough for the sake of the argument.
just
I'm genuinely
conceding.
asking you, why is it a false analogy?
Yeah, I'm just conceding it for the sake of argument.
But you keep saying for the sake of the argument.
Can we get back to what because I need to know.
I'm not interested in talking about
You're not
how the
interested in
world
talking
started.
about the foundations of your own ethical system.
Like, essentially, if me and Andrew were having a debate on something and he already knows sort of my worldview, I'm assuming he does, and we're talking about, I don't know, what's something that's like, let's just say we're talking about murder, PDF files. I hate myself for that one. I hate it. And he already knows my worldview. And then I say something that contradicts my worldview that he knows about. And he's like, hey, isn't that an inconsistency there? And I'm like, God fucking damn it, Andrew. You're right. It is. That's when you're conceding. Okay. But right now they're telling you to sit down and you ain't. Okay. They don't know.
And we're talking about sexual and romantic preferences.
But why would I care what your preferences are if you can't give me any type of ID for why it's ethical or unethical?
So I should just never talk if I can't flesh out to you how the universe started.
You should never make an ought
where
claim.
rights come from.
You should never make an ought claim unless you can say you ought
made
to
the
do
ought
this
claim.
based on
You
this
made the ought
moral.
claim.
Wait, let him go. Let him talk. Go
You
ahead.
cannot say, Andrew, you ought to do this. And when I say, why ought I do that? You go, I don't fucking know, because I don't really feel like you should.
That's so funny because you're the one who made the ought claim.
I didn't make an
I
ought
wouldn't
claim.
date a guy who watches porn.
What ought claim did
and
I
then you
make?
said, then you ought not to contribute to that problem if you don't want to date a guy who
No, I
watches
asked
porn.
you if you should.
Yeah,
So you created the ought claim.
No,
it's not about
I'm
should.
asking
I'm saying
you
my
from your
preference is
worldview.
completely
If you'd like to
consistent.
know my worldview,
I
yes,
don't
it's all
care.
total degeneracy. I hate it all. I think it's all immoral. What's a moral absolutist? Now, can you answer the question?
My point was,
You're still not going to answer
me
the
saying
question.
that this creates
I
certain
just
traits,
answered
that doesn't
your
mean I think
question.
it's morally wrong. Okay?
Answer the question. What's a moral absolutist?
A moral absolutist is someone who has certain moral principles that they think take priority over the consequences of those actions. And they think those should be honored with precedence over a utilitarian worldview.
So,
relativism.
why is it then that you're giving me an argument from the consequence?
How did I?
Because you're saying...
AB check. Thank you for the gifted 20 memberships. Go ahead, Andrew. You're saying?
Okay. So what you're saying here is...
I didn't even give you a consequence.
You say pornography, not
Terrible,
immoral,
Jane.
right?
Not necessarily, yeah.
Not necessarily. But if we try to discover why it's not, the reason that you say the reason it's not always immoral is because there's some consequences that I think are better than other consequences. That's why.
Even then, it has nothing to do with morality.
It would for an absolutist.
If I prefer a
She was literally the one that brought up morality. I'm done.
partner who's 6 foot over 5'10", and I'm preferring the consequence of their height, that doesn't mean I think 5'10" men are immoral.
Unless
Or there's something morally wrong with being
but
short.
You wouldn't say, I'm a moral absolutist. I believe that this X thing is absolutely always immoral,
I'm
except
asking
in
you,
the case of the consequences.
why are we conflating romantic preferences with a moral rubric? Same way if I said...
Because it's a not claim.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Same way if I said I prefer a tall guy over a short guy, that's not me saying, oh, then, you know, it's bad for me to contribute to something that decreases height in men.
Yeah, but that would be a preference. In this particular case, I'm not talking about a preference. I'm asking you about the morality of
We
a
were talking
thing.
a preference. Same way, again, if I could be
And
indulging
now I'm talking about the
heterosexual men
morality
while
of the
being a
thing.
lesbian. We can go back and forth.
Okay, fine. So we'll just do, you think it's moral because your preference is, and I think it's moral because my preference is,
I
but
didn't
you're
say
a moral absolutist.
I didn't say moral. I literally said morality has no bearing on my romantic preferences
Then
in this
what?
instance. You're the one bringing up morality
Then
for no
if we're
reason.
just talking
Same
about
way again,
preferences,
I can
what are
like
we
a
even
guy who's
talking
a
about?
certain race or a certain height, and that doesn't mean I'm claiming all
what
other men
are-
are immoral.
Then Farha.
If I
all
prefer
we're
women as a
talking
woman,
about-
am I calling men immoral?
If all we're talking about is I like water and you like lemons,
Yes.
right? Then why, if we're making the discussion about these things which are going on inside of consistency issues, things like this, like he was talking about, or you claiming you're a moral absolutist, things like this, we're now outside the realm of preference. We're now into the realm of Farha's worldview. So
We're
I'm trying to
talking about
figure.
Like, okay, just to keep it simple, let's go backwards. If you're a moral absolutist, doing something like taking your clothes off for money does not follow. It follows Andrew's virtue ethics, because one of the virtues is like being virtuous. Literally, is it virtuous to take your clothes off for money if you know that it harms men, possibly makes them not be able to pair bond, your words, desensitizes them, your words, and also whatever the other one was. So out there. Do you see why it's going there? So if you're not somebody who follows virtue ethics, and you are somebody that doesn't have to necessarily be a virtuous person, well, you better have something that's really aligns not only with that, but a moral absolutist also, because that's what you said. I would have not said that. Not that you could in some certain circumstances, but that porn factor is really going to fuck you up, because we all know on some fundamental level, it's probably, well, like, why is it bad? Like, why is this not something that could be a virtuous thing? I have one idea of that on a separate thing, but like, why is that not it's like, well, I'm helping men jack off and come. It's like, well, they could do that with or without you, okay? It's like, yeah, you're there to kind of help. But no matter what, it's not virtuous. And if you want to talk about the morality, which they are, again, because you said the pair bonding thing. But pay attention to autonomy too. Sorry.
Romantic preferences.
There's so many
Why does
elements.
romantic preferences even fall within the worldview of morality?
Because what if you're
Because of fucking porn.
romantic?
If I prefer a guy
I'm
with a
trying to
big
tell
dick
you.
over a small dick, does that mean
Yeah.
I think guys with small dicks are immoral?
I'll tell you. Because
me.
what if you indulge in your preferences and they're actually against your own morality? Then are you doing something immoral by following that preference?
Right, and I'm saying I'm not deeming those guys who watch porn or go to strip clubs immoral. I'm saying for what I'm seeking in a romantic relationship, those are not traits that would be preferable
Right,
to
you're
my
saying
goals.
they're not immoral, and I'm trying to show you that I think you think that either A, you're right and they're not immoral and you're a consequentialist, or
I don't think it's immoral. I would be friends with guys who watch porn. If I actually thought it was immoral and I thought it was like akin to an actual moral wrongdoing, like murder or the R word, then I wouldn't be friends with those people. I wouldn't be friends with girls and guys who watch porn or go to the strip clubs.
How do you determine whether something's morally positive or negative?
It would be by case. I can't flesh out a
So
perfect moral
would it
system
be
for
would
you
it be
right
based
now.
on the consequence?
Okay, so she said case by case. Going back to the trolley dilemma. Okay. If I said, let me pull it up. I know we didn't touch on it, but this is probably a good time to bring it up. So pull the lever. I want to get it word for word. Where is it? Da da da. Da 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 da. Okay. Imagine a runaway trolley heading down a track towards 5 people who are tied up and unable to move. You are standing next to a lever that can switch the trolley onto another track where there is 1 person tied up. You must decide whether to do nothing and let the trolley, fucking Chicago over here. Okay, let the trolley kill the 5 people, or pull the lever and divert the trolley, killing only 1 person. Tori, like, what the fuck? I'm going to pull the lever on the 1 person and then save the 5. Why? If you're somebody that follows I can never say utilitarianism. If you're a utilitarianist, which most people, from what I've gathered, seem, if they're like secularists, they kind of always want to do the thing that maximizes more good than bad, or maximizes the most amount of good. Maybe there's a better way to say that, you dumb bitch. This is my brain. Okay. Focuses on the outcomes of actions. Yes, we know that. But okay. It's like I'm obviously going to, like, 2 people are going to die. 2 instances, there's death. But if I can just do, like, if I have 5, I can save them. 5 more families. It seems like the optimal choice. If you're me, I would say don't pull that fucking shit. Why? Why? So, I don't know why it's such an insult. It seems like it's an insult for them to concede that they are a consequentialist. I can't say that either. Fuck this brain. It's like, which utilitarianism is a part of consequentialism theory. But it's like, why do people have such an issue with that? Without having to ask you a bunch of questions to test it, it's like, there's going to be so many instances where that's not right. I'll give you one that's probably a lot easier. Let's say there is a hospital setting and you have a little child who needs a lung transplant, and you have 5 patients that are dying, but they're not dead yet. Should you just pull the plug and take one of them, like, organs and transplant it? It's like, because you want to save the boy, they have more to live. It's like, that would be he's gonna die anyway. It's like, you fucking bitch. That's like sort of the really immoral way of looking at, like, a utilitarian. Or I'm sorry, let's say like there's a guy dying and he has all these perfect organs. I fucked it up. Okay, you have a guy with all these good organs, but he's dying. He's not dead yet, but he's dying. And then you have like a kid that needs a lung transplant. You have another woman who needs a stomach, like all these different things. He's gonna die anyway. Why don't we just speed it up and get those organs? No one will know. He's gonna die. Okay, that's utilitarian. That's why I always give them shit.
Consequences of that
I'm
action?
asking you, what does morality have to do with a romantic preference?
Don't.
So, okay,
hang on.
you
No,
have
no,
to
listen. That's a bait and switch.
It's not. This whole question arose
you always
because
do
he
the
asked
same
my
thing. When I ask you a
preferences.
question, you answer with a question. What he asked you specifically is, how do you know something you're doing is moral or immoral?
I don't know.
How do you know?
I don't have a pure moral framework at this
So
time.
you're not a moral absolutist.
not
No
an
shit.
I said I probably subscribe
There you go.
more to
You're a
moral
consequentialist.
absolutism.
You're a consequentialist.
Because
Are those
you
the
say
two
okay,
options?
you took murder and you take all of these other things
No, it's
based on the
irrelevant.
consequences of what happens in that scenario. So murder,
People,
if
people who
someone
are
commits a
anti-murder
murder,
are just
it's a negative.
consequentialists.
Wait,
I'm
let
pretty
him
sure
finish.
moral
Just-
absolutism
No, no,
is
no,
also
you-
against murder.
Wait,
Come on.
Farha, just let him finish.
So if you commit
no
murder,
sense.
the consequence is negative because you take someone's life. You take human life. So that's a consequence. So you're looking at the consequence and you determine it's bad. You don't take. You're not pulling from objective standard.
And
you are taking your interpretation of the consequence and then conflating that with negativity.
If you think moral absolutists wouldn't object to murder, you're deranged.
Then tell us what your standard is.
For why someone should be against murder, that doesn't fit the consequential
No.
framework.
For your
Just how do you make decisions on what to do? Like, never use the murder example.
standard of what your morality is based on.
I don't even know why we're talking about morality.
I know that you don't.
Honestly, in this moment, I would ask her, like, is it ever okay to lie? Like somebody lie to save a life or something, because it's like lying is always wrong. Or is it? It's like if you lie and it saves somebody's life, at least to figure out if they're falling on like it could be a deontological perspective, it could be a humanistic, whatever the fuck, like it could be so many things. But right now she's trying to play both sides. Maybe she's trying to appear as an absolutist so Andrew doesn't question her on her worldview. I'm not sure.
Don't know, but
You're
now
using this as an evasion because you don't want to concede on the point that my preference is completely
here's what you're actually
consistent.
saying. You're not saying I don't know why we're talking about morality. You're saying I don't know the answer to your fucking question.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for what is
Right.
your perfect moral
So
framework.
your
When I write a book right
your moral
now,
framework is based on something you don't even know.
don't even know.
Yeah, you don't even know.
No,
People
yeah,
write
because
300
you said-
pages to flesh out their morality. They can't give you a 2-sentence quip on the whatever
They can.
podcast.
No,
they
you
can't.
say
Yes, they can.
you say the foundation.
But see, if you're an absolutist, you could. Like, it's always wrong. Always. The issue is that it kind of fucks up with what you do for a living. Or it contradicts what you do for a living.
No, because if I asked you, you'd probably say like, "Oh, I subscribe
Christian
to
ethics.
Christianity," but
Christian
then you'd probably
ethics.
have some exceptions to that.
And you could maybe flesh those out by giving me an internal critique, which I'm fine with because I follow Christian ethics, which is exactly
I'm
what
just
I'm
saying
doing
you
to
have yet
you.
to explain how any of this pertains to my
hang on.
romantic
So you just
preferences.
told me, you said I have a worldview. I can't justify my worldview. I don't even know how I came to the worldview. I don't even know what my standard is for morality. But this thing over here, that's not immoral. What the fuck are you talking about?
Translates to why the fuck do your preferences matter if nothing lines up with logic?
Saying, how does morality? Can you explain to me why morality even pertains to this conversation of
Because
romantic
of porn.
preferences?
Because if we're talking
Because of porn and money.
about pornography, we're coming at it from two different standards. I'm saying that the standard is immoral. You're saying that the standard is moral. I'm saying I'm going to justify my morality. You say you can't justify your morality. I want people to listen to the guy who can justify their morality and not to the person who absolutely
Okay, here's
can't.
my 2-sentence cute little answer. I think generally people should aim to self-actualize, and genuinely they should like seek to fulfill their autonomy. So if someone has a certain goal for themselves that generally is not harming someone else, and for instance, like they want to fuck as many people as possible,
What
and
is
they're not-
I'm pausing it there on purpose. She's saying it's humanistic, keeping it simple, if I had to guess. Okay. But self-actualization, Maslow's it's Maslow, right? There's two hierarchies. The main one is Maslow. And self-actualization is at the top. Yes, autonomy goes with that, but guess how that also contradicts everything that you said in the beginning. Because if you're so worried that you think, and she just said, everybody should self-actualize, except your partner, if it's genuinely or generally not harming you, actually, she's like, well, they can't pair bond. It's like, you're literally, if you don't want to pick, it's like, yeah, you have the ability to pick a partner that doesn't watch porn. But guess what? Most of them do. Okay, unless you live in a country where it's banned, right? So I guess if you're in the red pill, we say women pick their partner. I think it's a mutual thing, though. And let's say that they develop some sort of porn addiction later. Are you going to dump them over it? You know, it's just like a weird thing. Did I land that?
Actualize mean.
Oh yeah, because of the autonomy. So it's like, ironically, in the beginning, she's like, I have my autonomy to act out whatever it is that benefits me, aka money from OF. She's not harming anybody, even though technically she would be harming her boyfriend because of you know what I mean? See how it's so fucking doesn't line up. It doesn't line up. Now, if you really want to be a moral absolutist, porn is wrong. I think it should be banned everywhere. Beautiful. You line up. I know what to expect from you, and I can send you off into the world without any fear that you're going to fuck it up. Okay, the more cohesive we are, even though we do live where everybody has their own, but it's like, it's not one person. Okay, it's different groups have their own sort of cohesive, and it works together as a society. We like cohesion. No cohesion equals the children.
Will live up to their potential. I don't know if that's congruent with a Christian framework.
Live up to, I don't even know what that means.
All this is consequence based. It's dependent upon the outcome.
That's not true.
It is though. What is it dependent on?
Is consequentialist based. I think you can self-actualize and maybe have nothing to show for it at the end of the day, but I think absolutists would still look at the effort and the intention. That's literally what an absolutist is.
Well,
they look at the intention behind the
You're just saying you're just giving him preferences.
No, is it right or wrong? It's crazy to me that people think right means that they're right.
Talking about the absence of negative outcomes. So, I mean, it is consequentialism.
It doesn't make it consequentialist just because it also happens to overlap with consequentialism.
I'm asking for the standard, and you're just giving us preferences.
Let me ask you, why is it that my romantic preference has anything to do with morality, or why is it inconsistent? I know
because of porn. Because you sell it. Why is this so hard? Because you're profiting off of it.
It sounds bad to say I do OF, but I wouldn't date a guy who does X, Y, and Z. But genuinely flesh it out, because right now it just sounds like you guys
It's like bold of you to make money off of something that even you yourself said you don't want in a partner because it's harmful. It's just, like I said, you want the benefits without
an unjustified visceral reaction to the fact that I sound like a hypocrite. But you can actually flesh it out.
Okay, so let me flesh it out for you one more
time.
Flesh it out.
Like, honestly, right now you sound like Satan. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's like, I know the bad effects of men watching porn, but I want to make money off of that. You sound like Satan. I'm not even religious. Okay? This is not moral absolutism. I'm going to just assume it was the wrong thing. Maybe they didn't understand it. I don't know. I don't know what's appropriate. It's okay. Thank you for the super chat. Keep your girl off OnlyFans one chat at a time. See, that is a moral absolutist way of life, baby. Torshaa at night rocks. Woo! Thank you.
Without just asking, give me a 2-sentence moral framework.
I'm not even going to ask you a question. I'm just literally going to flesh it out for you.
If I ask you why you wore a blue shirt over red, and then you said, I just prefer blue.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how a different color shirt, like, what? If he wears a different color shirt, who does it affect? Somebody who's sensitive to the color blue? Maybe. But, like, most people, no. Like, no. You like chocolate ice cream over vanilla? Again, it's like, okay.
That would
I say,
be a
okay, then it's immoral to wear red. Then why is mine not a preference?
You would have to make a justification for that.
What do you mean?
Unless you're saying that your entire moral framework is just a preference.
So if you were to say, I look better in a blue shirt than a red shirt, and I were to say, then you're selfishly motivated. Why are you only interested in what you like? Maybe you should survey the panel.
You can make a good argument.
Find out what we prefer looking at. We're the one who's going to have to stare at you for 4 hours.
Imagine if all men, across all heterosexual men, refused to date porn stars. Refused. Didn't even give them the time of day. Or OnlyFans. Would you be mad at them because it's their preference? It's like, it's your preference because you know you could find some crazy dude to be cool with it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding with love. But it's like, what if all men decided they didn't want to date a porn star because they don't want to date a hoe? Well, that's not a justification. I don't want a girl that can't pair pond. Doesn't feel good when it comes from the other side. Then it would be an issue. Then how would you justify it? Okay, you both have the same justification. Well, I guess I'll just die alone. That's how you do it. Okay? I'm just kidding. Love my 304s. Just for the purpose of the argument. Okay, she's over there, not you. It's her burden.
When you say that's kind of a weird rebuttal to why you chose a blue shirt over a red shirt.
Is that your argument?
Yeah, it's a little weird that the reason that you don't want to date a guy who one watches porn, which is like very common and literally has no effect, whereas the opposite is not true.
I'm showing you how ridiculous you
No,
sound.
my argument's not ridiculous. What
It's
you're
completely
saying,
ridiculous.
Then stop talking. Let me make my argument. What you're saying is just a sequence of preferences. You're saying, Andrew, why did your preference to do this thing, which you have a preference to do, that nobody considers immoral, including you and I, why did you do that thing? I say, well, because of preference. You go, oh, okay, makes sense. It's a preference. All you're giving us right this second for the entire standard, for your entire morality, is your preference.
Not
And
morality.
stop.
I'm
Let me
saying my
finish.
romantic
Let me
standards
finish.
are more
Almost
akin
done.
to why you chose a
Almost
certain shirt
done.
over
Almost
another.
done. Almost done.
You let
Almost
these.
Thank you for the super chat, keeping your girl off OnlyFans, one chat at a time. Miguel, love you. Tori, you getting a lot more views. You're an amazing person. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I try to be virtuous. I have my flaws.
Male guest Bloviate, but if I talk for
No
more than
lie.
2 seconds,
No lie.
then
Seriously,
No
she's
lie.
been
It's
over
just-
so many
Oh,
times.
it's so unfair.
Disrespectfully,
I didn't say it was
he always
unfair.
stops
It's
her
not
for you and
unfair.
never stops you guys for her ever.
well, because this is what the male audience. Okay,
Oh,
continue.
I'm sorry. You know what, Farha? I know I was just about to lay the entire groundwork for my epistemology, and you don't have any, but you go ahead. I'll chill out.
Is
while
that what you
make
think
an
I was
argument.
having rebuttal to? I was saying the fact that he will always cut me off after 2 sentences, but let any male guest on this panel bloviate for like 3 minutes plus.
That is true. That is true. But I would have to say it's probably, if I had to give a justification, it's because Brian knows Andrew and knows the purpose of why he's asking the question and content. That's like why he's there. That's why he's there. Okay, he can't rely on you to keep the debate going because you just want to evade it, you know? Don't say shit about like, if you don't want this to be you, you're like, I'm a sex worker and I don't want Andrew to find holes in my thinking. Don't fucking tell anyone. Okay, is that lying by omission? I mean, yeah, but you want to avoid it. It's not what I would do. Just a fucking own it. Okay, explain to me this. Why is it so hard that when somebody finds like a critique that you can't be like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like if anybody was found like a discrepancy in mine, I would be like, well, damn. You're right. Why is that so hard? You want to know how to derail it? Are you really worried? Tell them, you know what, Andrew, you're right. I never thought of that before. He won't know where to go. He'll find something, but like nobody wants to concede with him. I don't know if it's like the other side of YouTube that does these debates that likes to not have structure and be really like emotional and shit. I can't tell if they just see Andrew as like the big bad wolf who's going to find holes in their line of thinking, because it seems like, oh, here you go with the moving the goalpost. like I hate to break it to you. And I'm telling you, I like to see more than one strong debater, but I'm telling you, you're getting your TLDR notes wrong. Okay. They're wrong.
Even if it's not related to the conversation, and I can never do that.
Nobody said
I'm not
equally.
picking a fight with you.
No. I equally, I make fair attempts to let everybody
pride.
speak.
Ooh.
I will pay someone to comb through this and create a chart of how much you interrupt.
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just
I
picking
can
with
go ahead.
him.
Talking about dating preferences, I'm so lost.
But he knows that he can't let it slide if I'm an OF girl and I say I went to watch like
Nothing you're so right. It's pride. Isn't that the number one sin in the Bible too? Pride. It's like but you would think that if somebody values self-actualization, that if anybody's going to be above pride, it's going to be them, you know? Like, I'm telling you, people can't fuck with you if you can admit when you're wrong and adapt. They really can't. It's such a valuable skill. I can understand if you're in a situation where X person will take anything that you say, good or bad, and try to like ruin a reputation. Like, I can understand maybe in that sort of scenario, but like when you have an audience and people can see that you're willing to be like, you're not wrong, you did point that out, even if you, better case scenario, if you both have opposing positions, it shows integrity, intelligence. Like, it takes a very smart person to be able to like slow down, be like, you're right. Granted, YouTube cameras, sometimes more audience can make people afraid to do it, but like, damn, somebody that can take the L is somebody I want to hang with. It wasn't like, even myself, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but like, if it makes me cringe after, I haven't even watched it back, assuming it's YouTube. Yeah. Okay, sometimes I can do it faster than other times, and it's something I work on. But like, dude, anytime that I conceded, like in my personal life, it has only served me well. Honestly, with a boss, taking criticism. The moments that I couldn't take criticism, throw the whole bitch away. You're like the worst type of person in a work setting. Okay.
Date a guy who watches porn, so he has to now try to dunk on me ethically, even though it doesn't pertain to ethics.
Let's continue on. So if Andrew is making a point,
how does it not pertain to?
I'm chilling.
Yeah, how does it not pertain to ethics if you tell me that you're doing something that's unethical? It's like this.
I didn't say. Did I say unethical? Anywhere in my initial answer did I say I wouldn't do it because watching porn is unethical?
What your argument is. What your argument is, you go to me and you're like, hey, Andrew, I'm about to go commit murder. And then I go, wait, you can't do that. And here's why. And you're like, I didn't want to have a conversation about my ethical standards. I just wanted to tell you that I was going to go commit murder. That's your argument right now, Farha.
So the Wise Tribe says it takes a lot of emotional maturity to admit you're wrong in a public setting. Being wrong inherently is embarrassing, especially if you come out making a strong claim. Yeah, but like, something I've noticed is people you're not wrong. You're like 100% right. But like, if that's the case for people that want to start a YouTube channel, or they do it now, like, I purposely can't look at my chat if I were ever to do a debate or a discussion. You probably noticed this about me, is like, I'm either fully into like talking to the person. Like, why do I do that? Is that because I'm ADD? Like, partially, if I'm being honest, but I don't want to create an atmosphere where I have chats rooting for me because they like me. It's like, I mean, like, I get it, you know, there's certain circumstances where it's like, oh, we're talking about mental illness. Torrie's got this shit. Okay, maybe you've heard me say certain points or something that, like, in a discussion, you know exactly what I'm gonna say when they say it, and you're like, yeah, I was right. Like, okay, it's like, boom, bond. But I remember the first time that I thought that me and Alex were going to talk about different things way back when I first started. He had made a live stream and it was like, Rollo Tomassi's 9 rules are wrong. And I've read the book, and they all the rules, without reading the book, it's like, yeah, you can make a case for it. So I went on there and I was explaining it to him, not knowing that like he was going to gaslight and deflect, just because I don't surround myself by those people. And I guess that's kind of like the debate scene. if you've never even heard of it, that's what it seems like. It's like, oh God, like I didn't sign up for that. I just thought I was gonna help you understand, but they were not trying to change their opinion. And I remember watching the chats back, and the entire time, I'm sure you could find it somewhere, I was just shocked because I come from formal debate. I was not aware it was a debate. Fault on myself, I guess. But like if you come from a formal debate background and somebody is deflecting, gaslighting, being ad homs and all this stuff, laughing with, I forget the other guy's name, the other dating coach, I forget. But when you do that, I choose just not to engage. So I'm just like, what are you talking about? No. And like the entire time from my memory, honestly, I don't know how good that is, but it seemed like they were like, it's almost like lying straight to your face. There's a specific word I'm thinking of. It's like gaslighting, but like, it's like when you explain it and then they completely disregard it and go back to the way that they did it. It's like, did you not hear what I said? So I was just like, okay, like you don't know shit about debate. This is if you wanted to do a debate, don't we need a moderator? Don't we have to submit some shit? Like I was so confused. I was like, that's not how you debate. And then like they made which by the way, love you, Alex. Okay, this was way back when. And they made a video after, I forget what it was called. It might have still been on the live stream, which is one of the reasons I don't like to partake in after debate gossip. But trying to point out all of my logical fallacies. How are you doing that when we didn't actually like have a debate? We didn't have, you could argue maybe maybe you could say it's a debate. I guess I was just like really naive. I just had no idea. And then I was like, oh, cool. You guys have a debate space? Sick. My point to that. What is my fucking point to it? It was supposed to be a point to like admitting you're wrong, but I wasn't wrong in this instance. Oh, reading the chat. So I read the chats and like their audience was like, which love them. I'm sure we have some overlap, but I don't know. If you guys ever gone to certain people's chats and they just think the person's right when they're like not at all. And I'm not saying that for my ego. I'm saying let's take that one out because I'm involved in that one. But have you ever been in somebody's community? Maybe if you're like a feminist and went into like Fresh and Fits or something and you're just like, how the fuck? And it's because when chats act that way, it's usually because that's the space it was created in. You have to, it's not always the case. And it's not always like you have to tell people they can do what they want. But like, if I'm wrong, y'all drag my ass. You drag my ass and I appreciate it. I guess that's like my point, but like, I guess this really isn't about how do you foster communities like that, but I guess it was why I don't look at chats in particular, because I'd be afraid that happens. But every time I watch the chats back, I'm like, damn, you're right. Like, damn it. I don't know. That was a whole spiel and I'm hungry. We'll keep going though.
It's not. My argument is exactly akin to saying maybe I would wear a blue shirt over a red one. And I'm saying it's a preference.
No, I'm saying from my standpoint, you doing OnlyFans is immoral. You agree that that's true?
But that wasn't even the argument. If you want to discuss the morality of sex work, I'd love to get into that.
Did you say you were on OnlyFans?
Yes, but that wasn't...
Victor, this was way back. This was before I even went on that thing with Sartain. That was like 2 years later. This is way, way back. Probably like 4 years ago. Maybe 3.
Well,
your rebuttal to me was that I'm contributing to something wrong while not preferring in a partner.
But regardless, they entertain. That too. Okay, that too. I've noticed that when people come up with topics like an hour before, if you're lucky, usually it's like, hey, I'm doing a debate. Do you have time? Like, it's going on now. It's like, well, what's the topic? like, do you know how long it takes just to like, I mean, assuming, just take some advice. Don't fucking wing it. Unless you're bulletproof on all your frameworks. or else you're like, oh.
The reason
What-
I wouldn't prefer
and
those
what-
traits in a partner is not because
and
I think
what
it's
did I
immoral.
tell you you were
I think it's
contributing
because
to?
it would
Let her
create a
finish.
partner that
Yeah.
wouldn't be as pair bonded to me. That was the whole point.
And what did I tell you? The point was of me saying, wait a second, you're contributing to X thing by being on OnlyFans, right?
Yes, I am contributing to X thing. That doesn't make X thing immoral because I
Right.
wouldn't date or
so
fuck
now we
X
can get
thing.
into why X thing is immoral.
Let's do it, but then concede that doesn't mean I was calling
I
X thing immoral.
literally told you for the purpose of the argument, I'll
Not for the purpose
concede
of
it.
the argument.
Like, why won't you let it move on?
Because you didn't even address you were wrong. You created a rebuttal to what I was saying and then
Yeah,
completely switched
and I'm
the topic.
still trying to get into the
Using this like rebuttal, I don't like it. Like literally, it was a horrible analogy. It didn't clarify any of your position. It just sounded like deflection, if I'm being honest.
ethics of this thing.
But we can get to the ethics of
So
sex
are your
work and
ethics just a
OnlyFans.
preference?
I would love to.
Is it
I
just
would
a
love
preference?
to.
Is it just a preference?
Is what a preference?
Is the fact that you say that OnlyFans is moral, the fact that you say like apparently I guess prostitution is
When did
moral.
we say moral?
Stop.
I didn't
Stop,
okay.
Farha. I just let you talk, right? So are you saying that OnlyFans, you're making the claim OnlyFans moral, right?
No, I did not say that, and I know you know I didn't say that. I literally said we can discuss
So
the
is it-
morality of it. I was saying
So
there's
is it
nothing
immoral?
Immoral?
As a moral absolutist, is it immoral
I'm sorry,
or
is
moral?
there no such thing as moral neutrality, such as you wearing a flannel versus him wearing a leather
Yes.
jacket versus him wearing a
Yes,
hoodie?
you can
Yes,
say
but-
moral. It's morally neutral.
Except that you said you're the absolutist, right? Like, I wouldn't even say morally neutral. I would just be like, you know what? I fucked up. I'm a moral relativist. Like, whether it's moral or not is different depending on the context and situation. What would they say? They wouldn't be able to say anything.
I'm fine with that too.
Maybe.
I would say it's morally neutral.
It's morally neutral.
Well, it depends case by case.
Is it absolutely morally neutral?
No, that's why I
Perfect.
said case by case.
Are you?
That's like the way he's saying it now. Absolutely more like that's the way. Like he gets Andrew gets very like what do you call it? Grammatically correct. Like he does it the right way. The issue is that I don't think a lot of people that are in the debate space go through that. Like people might think ethics, morality, all this like boring shit is straightforward, and it isn't. You can get maybe a 2-second definition for each, but it really like you have to take lectures on, well, in my opinion, it's better to take lectures on it. Tori, I can't afford school. Just go on YouTube. There's a guy that does a really good one. It's been like celebrated for being one of the best lectures in the media on it. But he walks you through many episodes on like the trolley thing. Is it ever okay to kill somebody? When is autonomy like important? But I remember thinking the titles of the videos, I was like, damn, like I'm about to send this to a client being like, you need to like listen to this if you have a debate in a couple days, because you can't just explain what you're asking me in 2 seconds. Like it requires you to be like, well, fuck, that won't work, and really sit through different situations. And the professor, I cannot think of his name, but he's fucking phenomenal. Once you understand everything and you were to watch it back, you'd be like, how the hell did he do that? Crazy. Really good. Really good.
Absolutely sure.
Same way I could probably find a way to say maybe you wearing these certain shirts aren't exactly morally neutral because maybe a child sewed that shirt, and then we could get into it case by case, but generally I can say it's morally neutral for you to have different shirts that you're wearing. Is that fair?
Sure, it's morally neutral for
That was a perfect thing that she said there about the children making the shirt.
me to have.
Is it okay for me to ask
shirt.
you to justify the morality of your shirt?
So hang on. So OnlyFans to you is just like me wearing a shirt. It's
I
morally
said
neutral.
it's case by case. Same way exactly. I don't know. Maybe if you had a 4-year-old make that shirt for you
Agreed.
today, then we could get
Fair
into
enough.
it.
So we go into it's a case by case. So in
Unfortunately, analogy is the best way to try and get the idea through. It's just finding one that keeps the other's attention. See, I agree with you. I like to talk a bit and find out what a person does for fun or work. I agree with you. I think analogies are really good, but I know for myself, me trying to verbalize it, it comes off as like moving the goalpost a bit. I don't know. I get told that I come off really smug, at least like a few years ago. But brain injury, it's fine. But like, because in my opinion, people think that they now believe that Andrew is doing that. They don't actually partake in it, or like partake in like a hypothetical. Like if somebody asks you or gives you an analogy and then gives you a hypothetical, it seems like maybe it's just my observation. Maybe I'm getting them mixed up. It's like analogies work if you're like present, I guess, present in the conversation. And it's difficult to be present and actually listen to the analogy unless you have faith in the other person. That they're not trying to like fuck you up, I guess. I've thought about this so many times. I'm like, how can you get somebody out of cognitive dissonance? You either can word something in such a way and break down all these concepts, but it's like at a certain point you might think you're breaking it down, but you got to break it down even further, but you don't know that you have to do that, so you just lose the person. Maybe I'm projecting. It really is an art to like do that shit. I think from what I've watched, it seems like people take it as an attack. Unless that person is friends with the person they're dating or debating. Dating. I'm done.
It depends on the model, the consumer, the relationship status.
So inside of OnlyFans, how would you evaluate, absent bad consequences, the things inside of OnlyFans that you would consider moral or immoral?
Probably the ethics of sex work. So typical things like whether the model is being groomed into it, whether the consumer
Consequence.
That was good.
Next.
Whether the consumer is honest with his romantic partner about it. That's not consequence.
Then why would you value it absent negative consequence?
I think if you're looking at something like dishonesty and integrity, that if anything that pertains more to moral absolutism than it does consequentialism.
Why would
because
it be?
If the partner doesn't find out, then technically that's fine by consequentialism, because maybe he got to jack off to a model and keep his relationship going, but I would still say that's wrong,
so it's okay,
even though he's lying to his wife about it.
So it's okay to tell a lie.
But yet, okay. That's still wrong. Okay, whatever.
If it saves a life?
What?
Yes.
Can you tell a lie if it saves a life?
I think it depends.
Okay. So here's where it seems to be getting fucked up without me going like too spurgy. It's like sometimes she's saying it's always wrong, but then other times she's saying it's case by case. If this is you, just like TLDR, case by case, you're a relativist. And if you have an issue with this, it's because you're a relativist. Okay, it's confusing, it's contextual, and you're thoughtful about it. I'm just telling you right now, you're not an absolutist. Ever. Don't use those types of words if you know that you are worried somebody's gonna press you on shit.
Depends on the consequences, Farha?
What? It depends on the lie itself and the severity of the lie.
No. Okay.
No, it depends on why you're lying.
Consequence. You know you're pivoting. You know
This is literally to your point. I'm testing your logic. So my logic is to say I think you're consequentialist. I think all the things you just named are consequence-based for negative outcomes.
No, it's literally not. I
literally
said,
and this is how I can demonstrate it for you.
Can you moderate a little bit?
This is how I can demonstrate it for you.
I'm more of a free flow kind of.
Yeah,
He's
this
exhausted.
is how I can demonstrate it. This is how I can demonstrate it.
Okay, listen,
I know you just want to prattle.
Change the topic.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, here. Let's
Why does she keep saying she's done so many add-ons? Like you're changing. He's literally stayed consistent the whole time. You're changing the topic, Andrew. I'm just gonna say it from now on.
Farha.
Thank you so much.
It's
not like I drove 2 hours for this. Okay.
Right.
Anyways,
It's not
as
like
I was saying, it's not
consequential.
I flew too, okay? It's not consequentialist because I was literally saying, even if that man who's watching the OF content is lying to his wife, but it improves the status of his relationship because now he's more likely to have sexual intimacy with his wife, but he knows.
But I thought it affects his ability to pair bond, his ability to feel it. He gets desensitized. It's like, but now suddenly there's situations where it's good for his relationship. Well, isn't that a dilemma? It wouldn't be if you just said relativist.
That he's transgressing his wife's sexual boundary. I still think that's wrong. So
That's
that's 100%. No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not, because
It's a
that's
consequence
increasing
of
the
your
pleasure in
actions.
his relationship. That's moral absolutism, literally, because I'm still saying that's a wrong
but
deed.
if it was reversed,
if it's reversed, then that completely changes the situation.
right now, because the consequence is reversed.
The consequences
I'm being
change.
obtuse on purpose. I literally said,
not.
even
No.
if it's a net good in terms of pleasure, because
Like if she said porn was bad, porn's bad. It's like this, porn is bad and she doesn't make money off of it. It's like what she's saying right now would follow. The issue is that despite that, or I'm sorry, the issue is that you know that it causes harm, just not to you. Okay? If you want that to fit a framework, I'm sorry, let me say, if you know that porn is bad, okay, you want to be really like, you want to be a moral absolutist, you would have to be either one of two things, in my opinion, just to keep it really simple. Somebody who's like believes in deontology or virtue ethics. But then to differentiate between them, it's like, the cool thing about virtue ethics is when you get put, like I said in the beginning, if you're in situations where you're like, shit, I know this is wrong, but it's to save a life, for instance, you get that pass. Why is it a pass? Because it reinforces the character elements. So it can still be changing. I think that's one of the things that's kind of dope. It is on like virtue ethics. It's kind of like you're a relativist, but with the recognition that you're moral all the time, whatever. That you have one set of way of doing things. But if you want to change it, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought for that last part. Bye.
because maybe his wife is now enjoying him more. She's like, wow, my husband's so happy lately and jolly and cheery, and he's more happy lately. Maybe now he can actually last longer in bed. If he's transgressing her boundary, I still think it's wrong to lie about being subscribed to an OF. Because I'm, prioritizing honesty, integrity, honoring your vows over a consequentialist hedonism.
Yeah, why?
Why? I think that's I think that's the dead end of moral absolutism, is I'm valuing honesty and integrity.
Yeah, why?
Why? Because I think those are good traits.
I have a question.
So they're preferences. So the entirety of Farha's worldview.
What are you talking about?
Listen, I'm going to explain.
I wanna hear what she has to
So this is really simple, really very simple. What you say is that
I so desperately, when Andrew's talking with somebody that thinks he's attacking them, I just so desperately want to be like, oh shit, sorry, Andrew, you're right. But it never comes. I wish it would, but it doesn't.
you say it bottoms out
I want like the aha moment.
Moral absolute on truth and on this and on that, things which you
on justice, integrity,
things
honesty.
that you prefer.
That is the weirdest evasion I've ever heard in my life.
No. It's not the weirdest evasion, because ultimately what he's trying to get to
It's not an evasion.
is saying that you are the one who's determining whether it's moral or immoral. It's a preference.
Based on a preference.
That doesn't make it consequentialist.
It does
No,
in
it
this case,
doesn't.
because all of the things in which you value seem to be based around the consequences.
I literally said it's
If it was based on something like, I don't know, a deity, it would have made
not. Even if it improves their relationship and makes it so that they don't get divorced and they have a happier marriage, I still think it's wrong to transgress someone's boundary.
Fair enough. So then what we could say instead is this. Maybe you're right, and it's not that you always value the consequence. We would just say that the entirety of Farha's entire moral system comes from her preferences.
How is that a preference?
Because you said that moral absolutism bottoms out at truth and at these other values that you have, which you have a preference for.
Which I think most people have a preference for. The legal system, the courts, most moral
whenever the
doctrines,
majority
most
of people think
philosophers,
that's
most
what's moral,
politicians.
so the most people determine morality then?
See, something she could say. Here I am, always fucking. I will always find myself vouching for a side I vehemently disagree with. And I'm just like, how did I get here? It's moments like this where my heart feels bad for the underdog. If you wanted to say F you, Andrew, something you could bring up in some regard. It's like bold of you to ask me about, I don't know, bold of Andrew to accuse me of being XYZ when last time I checked, the ones that purchase OnlyFans, the consumers, are married Christian men, something like that. I don't know what the stats are, but it's high. And the issue when it comes to like addictions is a whole convoluted thing. Probably should go to Jasmine to hear about it. I know she's talked about it in a debate. I don't know whose, but I do remember there's research. And it's like the people that claim they have a porn addiction are usually, they're religious. And so they see it as a sin. So them wanting to do it, they view it more so as there's like a moral, what's the word? Moral thing attached to it. Like how they feel about porn, whatever. Because porn is a sin, they have a big, whatever the thing is I'm thinking of. That's what she said. But you could just bring that up. It's like, you should mind your own business, Andrew, because y'all be making up those stats, okay? Talk about virtuous or some shit, I don't know.
Whatever
no, I didn't say most
believe.
people. I said specifically the institutions, which we.
And then if he evades that, you could call him a consequentialist, and then like takes one to know one.
Been trusted our justice and our legal systems with. That has nothing to do with most people. If anything,
So
that's
it's
probably less
dependent
people
upon
than
the
the overall population.
It's geological
Dependent upon the
location.
majority of people believing.
I didn't say
that
majority.
it's
I literally said I could be a minority, but we can like look at the syllogisms of why they've arrived at this conclusion of why
Then
this
tell
is
me
a
what they
moral
are.
good thing. I just love that we've detoured so much because this proves my point that it's
That's-
not inconsistent for me to
It
do
is
OnlyFans
inconsistent.
because you've had to detour like 30 times now.
Wait, what?
Why
Go ahead.
is
Go ahead.
it important that she determines the morality of men that she wouldn't consider dating? That's what I don't understand about the entire premise of this conversation.
It matters
Why is
because
it
the audience
her
wants him to-
responsibility to determine the morality of the men that she wouldn't consider dating, consuming the content that they would consume, regardless of how they got it? Is a consenting person creating the content? She runs her own business. She's ethically creating her own content.
Why is it ethical?
Because she's consenting to the creation of her content.
Why is that ethical?
Because that is less consumption happening of content that people are not consenting to making.
Yeah, but you just are repeating it, right? The consent is what makes it ethical. The problem is,
To me,
what
that's
I'm trying to
the most
do.
important
What I'm trying to
aspect.
do is get to the foundation of why you think things are ethical or unethical. That's the point. Why do you think things are ethical or unethical? Why?
Based on, I mean, that depends on the conversation.
No. Why do you think things are good or bad?
I mean, I don't do that off of any religious aspect.
Usually
I do that
spiritual
Yeah,
people
so
don't
why?
do good or
Why do you
bad.
think-
Usually we do positive and negative.
I want to hear her keep talking. That's okay. Keep going.
based on basically like the do no harm,
So you think that
Okay.
things are bad if they're harmful?
and harmful is subjective.
That's your principle.
Yes,
Okay.
harmful is subjective, but
That's
for
true. There's
me,
kinks
I
out
make
there.
that determination
Well-
based on my lived experience.
Okay, so what you're trying to avoid then,
Feelings.
this is the principle we're just trying to get at, which far evaded a million times, is that for you, you're just looking at things through the outlook of you don't want there to be harm caused.
Correct. And there's
Okay.
and then of course with any decision in any business there are risks and like of harm factor. You know, you can be a CEO making $100,000 a year
Mm-hmm.
doing beyond unethical damage to the environment, to the society at large, to several factors, and not using sex to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So her doing that, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and there is no
No ethic.
Not the absolutes, y'all. Think of Andrew like Chat GPT. Okay, as soon as you say something radical, aka like an absolute in this case, okay, just go with me. It's gonna be like, well, no, and then they're gonna give you all no. Like she wasn't explaining it the best way, but she was explaining it from a thoughtful place. Like she had pointed out that, you know, somebody who owns a business, they might be doing what they think they're doing is right, but they're also harming other things. They're trying to do the most, whatever it was. It's like, as soon there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Really? You sure about that? Sure about that? All right, let's say that all... don't even get me started. Okay, I know y'all and you're somebody with like an economist background. You wanna take it? You wanna take the baton on that one? Because capitalism helps economies grow sometimes. Okay, depends. Bring back the gold standard.
Ethical consumption under capitalism.
Correct. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
That would mean that capitalism always does harm, right?
Not always.
Well, then it can't be no. Then it can't be no. You can't say there can be no ethical consumption and then say, but except for the times there can be.
Well, they both exist. So there
What
are
exists?
things that can be ethical and things that can't be, but you cannot experience consumption without there being unethical, aspects that are outside of our control as an individual.
And those are immoral,
Okay.
right?
I mean, dependent, yeah.
Dependent on what? If it causes harm, it's immoral, right?
Yes, but
Okay.
I lost track of what it was. Sorry.
So then every single time somebody does something
Yes.
which is harmful, it's immoral. We've established that, and you said that there's no chance they can never be ethical consumption ever, not even one case inside of capitalism. That means capitalism's always harmful, right?
See, well, you're trying to boil it down to white and black thinking.
Yeah.
And that's just
That's the
not
point.
Yeah, it is.
the
It's
line,
either yes
the
or
path
no.
I'm trying to go
Is
down.
subjective also.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking
Then you're all relativists, and it's fine. But that's...
about
Well, it can't be
communism now?
subjective.
It's like, but they say shit. It's like there's no ethical consumption ever under capitalism. It's like y'all. It's like you say this one thing, but then you go on like it's contextual and it's different. It's like, well, what is it? Okay, we're running in circles. You're losing me. Okay, you lost me.
It can't be
Wait,
subjective if you say
We
all.
could talk about
no, but see, the
not subjective when you
sex
say
work
all.
is the commodification of sex. That is a part of capitalism. That was the point from which I was deriving from.
Please go the autonomy.
What was the point? What?
Yeah.
That
Capitalism forces us to sell our bodies. Is that what she was saying, or am I just summarizing it?
sex work is the commodification of sex.
Uh-huh.
The commodification aspect is what I was aligning with capitalism and making that statement.
So then sex work is immoral under capitalism.
Uh-oh, no! Don't agree.
I don't understand that line of logic.
You just
That's
said
what you
that
said.
sex work's a commodification under capitalism, and
Well,
any type of
under
transaction under capitalism is
It's not
immoral.
exclusive to capitalism.
So therefore, sex
not
work.
exclusive to
I didn't say.
capitalism.
All I asked you was, so sex work in capitalism is always immoral?
No.
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 So then all things which are commodified and
I mean,
transactions made under capitalism are not
I'm on
immoral.
the side here. I don't moralize sex work. It's
So then there are
You're the last people that I want to live with.
transactions under a capitalist society which are moral.
Yeah.
Okay, but then why did you say that there can be no ethical transactions ever under communism
that's what you
or
said.
under capitalism? No, you said that.
No, I did not.
Why do they always gaslight? Like, if this was maybe I'm projecting when I say this, but it's like if this was the first time I've ever had a discussion, debate, never was on debate team. Like, I would never, this is projection, but I would never be like, no, that's what you said. I mean, unless they really did that. Did he? Maybe I didn't catch it. Most of the time what I've gathered when I've transcribed this stuff, like upload the video and it edits into a document and I read it a couple of times, it always seems like they're darvoing, like gaslighting.
Okay, go ahead and repeat your spiel about communism again.
Capitalism.
Capitalism, sorry. There can be no what under capitalism.
maybe there's a better way of phrasing it.
But
than
what did you
that
say,
phrase.
though? What did you say?
What the exact phrase I believe is there is no like when you're saying it's a simplified phrase.
There is
no ethical consumption under capitalism. That is what I said.
So then
However,
OnlyFans under capitalism is unethical.
Or morally neutral, which you keep forgetting exists.
But she can't. She said
She say
all
all.
transactions under capitalism are unethical. All of them. Every one of them.
She didn't say unethical. She said no ethical.
Guys, I swear to God, if I am ever in a situation where I am so sure that I'm right, okay? In the off chance that I even look at the chat, I hope you guys roast me. I really don't. It's a bad thing. I really should. I probably would be guided so much better. I'm just kidding. But like, if I ever do this, and I will, for sure. I will. Okay, I'm not off the hook. Man, I will literally make a video followed up just like, I'm so sorry.
Ethical consumption. That's the least.
Are you consuming OnlyFans?
ethical.
Are you consuming OnlyFans? She said it was
I'm not.
commodified. She said it's commodified. So if somebody's consuming OnlyFans, by her
No, I
logic, it
know,
has to be unethical.
And she also said, like Farha said in the beginning, that if women watch it with their partners, it has a positive effect. But if men watch it, it has a negative effect. So just know that.
She didn't say unethical. She said no ethical consumption. It could be morally neutral.
If somebody's consuming OnlyFans, that would be unethical.
Or ethically neutral.
It can't be ethically neutral if she says every single time.
She said
X
no
happens.
ethical, not unethical. Those are two different things.
Yes.
So everything under your worldview, then, when it comes to capitalism, is either immoral or morally neutral. There's no moral goods.
I'm sorry, please repeat that question. I want to make sure I understood that.
Under capitalism, can you do anything that is a moral good?
I mean, yes, because I don't.
Giving people motherfucking jobs. Like, come on. Or are we just talking about consumption? I don't know. They're losing me. This is so meta. I don't know. It's like really fucking. Jesus.
I don't go into the absolutes.
Then now, right? Are you
don't
still going to make the
want
claim,
to.
Farha, now that she said yes, you can at least do positive things, right? She did say that under her ethical system, repeat it again, I just want to make sure I get it right, so that I'm not straw manning you.
About the capitalism quote?
Yeah.
There is no ethical consumption under or no, that's what you said.
There is no ethical consumption. That's
No,
what
that's-
you said the first time.
What?
And I may have misquoted the phrasing.
I was going to say, it sounded like you ended up on that side of YouTube or TikTok where you heard somebody say something that sounded really confident, but it just sounds stupid as fuck when you repeat it. Stop making us sound like a bunch of hens. Okay, we hear one thing and we suddenly repeat it. Ugh, I hate it.
Honestly, I'm dyslexic, so honestly,
Okay.
I could have
That's fine,
misquoted
fine,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
meant to say. So yeah, so that's very plausible there, probably.
Don't hold me against it. Whatever.
Good talk.
Anyway.
No, dating podcast, by the way.
Now what?
Right.
Got into economics.
I think we
and
were going around
politics.
saying our preferences.
Yes, preferences.
That was about mine,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
no
you,
Love to get
porn,
back to
no
that.
strip
Thank you,
clubs,
Farha.
Yeah.
That was awesome. It was annoying, but it was awesome. Okay. I had another video, but I think I'm going to end it here and go for a run. Don't hate me, okay? If I influence y'all to go for a jog, I've done something good, okay? I'm going to go for a jog, and then we'll do the other one tomorrow, which it'll be early because guess what? I already kind of prepped for it, which is rare. Like the video, comment, subscribe. What was the most annoying thing? Me, them, Andrew, whatever. If you guys have recommendations of videos or you want to see me talk to somebody, debate them, fuck them up. Let me know. I think we do have some coming up. It's just, I think they might be scared. I don't know why. I'm a nice bitch. It's like I'll be over my period when the time comes, so This is when you get the psycho version of me. But anyways, enough about me evading responsibility due to menstruation. I'm going to go for a jog. I'm winning. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Okay, bye.